It's been about a couple days since Nvidia's RTX 4070 graphics card has hit the market, and the reception, as expected, has been absolutely abysmal. For a segment that was once touted as extremely popular by Nvidia themselves, it's clear PC gamers and hardware enthusiasts just aren't sold this time around. I believe Nvidia have seriously dropped the ball here. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video.
But I have more. GTX 1070, 6.5 teraflops, 8 gigabytes of G5 memory, faster than a Titan X, $379 MSRP, and for the Nvidia designed Founders Edition, $449, available all over the world, June 10th.
One of our most popular GPUs is the 70 series. 970, 1070, 2070 were all hugely popular. You're gonna love the new RTX 3070. Faster than the 2080 Ti, the Turing enthusiast GPU priced at $1,200. Ladies and gentlemen, the new GeForce RTX 3070. Let me show it to you. It's a work of art. RTX 3070 is faster than the $1,200 RTX 2080 Ti. Starting at $499, available in October.
Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. What you just saw were two clips from Nvidia's GTX 10 series and RTX 30 series launch events, respectively, where Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang had introduced the X70 GPUs from the lineup. You could see just how much hype there was surrounding the GTX 1070, especially when he mentioned it was faster than a Titan X. Then during the 30 series launch, which mind you didn't have a public event because of what was going on in the world, Jensen had acknowledged how the X70 series of graphics cards from previous generations have been hugely popular. Then he proceeded to reveal the RTX 3070 at $499, which Nvidia claimed was on par with an RTX 2080 Ti, which sold for $1,200 US. Obviously, there was no live crowd reaction, but a lot of the comments and reactions I saw on forums, places like YouTube, made it seem like it was a repeat of Pascal. The reason why with every generation people have always looked forward to the X70 series is because it's given them that opportunity to attain previous generation flagship performance at a more feasible mid-range price. This is what everyone has come to expect. So naturally, a lot of people were hoping that Nvidia would do the same thing with the RTX 40 series, if not at least the 4070. However, once we saw how the RTX 4080 and 4070 Ti turned out, it became apparent Nvidia wasn't going to do the same thing this time around. On April 12th, reviews for the 4070 went live, and the GPU landed basically where I had told you guys it would land. Now, I urge you guys all to take a look at as many reviews as possible, so you can see how it performs across various titles and different methodologies, but one thing became clear after seeing various reviews was that the RTX 4070 only ended up trading blows with an RTX 3080, and we all pretty much knew that going into this, but now you have your confirmation that this isn't going to be anything special. Alright, so compared to previous generation X70 class cards, the performance has gone down, so that would mean at least Nvidia would bring the price lower, right? I mean, it only makes sense. If you're not delivering the appropriate level of performance, then you should at least lower the price. But nope, the 4070 is retailing for $599 plus, so not only are you getting less performance, but you also have to pay more too. Nvidia really want to have their cake and eat it too. You can't have it both ways. You can't give us less performance and then also demand more money on top of that. Needless to say, after reviews went live, a lot of reviewers and consumers in the space just weren't happy with it. Now, we've seen outrage on the internet before surrounding new releases from Nvidia and other hardware manufacturers that hasn't necessarily had a huge impact on how the products would do on launch day, and most of the time they would still sell out. I'm going to be honest with you guys, despite how negative I've been about this card, I still expected it to do well on release day and do decently in the market simply because it's the cheapest RTX 40 series GPU you can get your hands on that isn't priced as obscenely high despite still being a ripoff. With that said, let's hop on over to newegg.com and take a look at what the situation is like over there in regards to stock of the 4070. Well, as it turns out, the vast majority of models from AIBs are still in stock. Along with that, most of the models are priced at $599, which is the MSRP and the same price the reference model goes for. This is quite the stark difference from what has happened with previous generation X70 class cards. The GTX 1070 was basically a unicorn in the first couple of months of its release cycle, and the RTX 3070 was the same, if not worse, because of the crypto mining boom which followed thereafter. It is indeed astounding to see that Nvidia's hugely popular segment isn't selling well, and that PC gamers along with hardware enthusiasts just are saying no, they're not this time Nvidia, enough is enough. Also, this doesn't seem to be the case in the US, but everywhere around the world, and in some areas it's actually even worse. Some of you who have been following my channel since the beginning may know this, but I actually used to work at a Canada Computers location for a while and still have a few contacts there, not just at the retail level but also in logistics, and I've been told they have a boatload of these cards in stock at MSRP, and as for sales, they have just been downright awful for a newly launched card. You can walk into any location and find them sitting on shelves. Nobody is buying them. Steve over at Hardware Unboxed talked about how over in Australia, the situation is worse because the cheapest model there is retailing for 1,080 Australian dollars, which makes it only about 10% cheaper than the 4070 Ti, and in that case, it just makes no sense to buy. Along with that, Steve did mention how sales for the 4070 have been terrible there as well. A YouTuber as big as him is bound to have multiple contacts in the retail chain, so I don't doubt what he's saying, as I've heard the same here. Tech Epiphany is a user on Twitter who I've sourced before. What he does is that he'll take data from Mindfactory, who are a well-known PC hardware retailer in Germany, and will post sales data from graphics cards, CPUs, motherboards, and more. He mentioned how there's been plenty of stock available for the RTX 4070 at MSRP, and in terms of initial sales, they were quite poor, approximately 300 units sold. That's it. Brett over at the UFD Tech YouTube channel talked about his experience trying to buy an RTX 4070 at launch from Micro Center. He usually does overnight live streams prior to the release of new hardware, where he'll go and camp the night out. Typically, there will be a lineup of customers waiting along with him, but this time, for the RTX 4070, he said besides him, there was just one other person that showed up just 4 minutes before Micro Center opened, so we're not even talking about camping out the whole night. That is actually very eye-opening when you think about it, even when there has been a lot of negativity surrounding a new GPU release, especially from Nvidia. You'll still see or hear about lineups, in the US at least, Micro Center, places like that are one of the go-to places, and you'll see people lining up. But the fact that nobody even bothered to line up for this graphics card, it really says a lot. I'm not exactly sure what Nvidia was expecting here. In my previous video, I talked about how even though raster performance for the 4070 isn't going to be impressive, they will try to oversell it by using their usual marketing antics. This includes hyping up DLSS 3.0 along with frame generation to make it seem like the 4070 is a lot faster than it actually is. But when most reviewers are showing it lose to an almost 3-year-old card that had an MSRP of just $100 more in some titles, then it just doesn't make sense for them to be excited at all. Especially in the past when you had Jensen boast about X70 class GPUs beating a card that cost over twice as much, not a mere $100 more. On top of that, let's not forget about how it has underwhelming specs like the low amount of VRAM and a slim memory bus. There are games coming out today that will make this card hit its VRAM limit at 1440p with ultra settings. Now, I'm usually one to advise people to tweak settings and don't just max everything out, but the fact that Nvidia is marketing this card for 1440p gaming and is charging $600, it should be able to comfortably allow the user to max out settings at this resolution for a while. Like, you don't want to be paying $600 for a brand new card and then have to make compromises. I'm not talking about old cards or previous generation cards, that's a different story. Who knows, perhaps their real intention could be to just make their lower end stuff look so unappealing that people cave in and go, screw it, I'm just gonna go for an RTX 4090. I really don't understand the thought process here. Since we're on the subject of marketing antics, Nvidia also recently posted an article on their blog site talking about how when RTX first debuted to the market in 2018 with Turing, only a little over 20% of gamers were actually using ray tracing and DLSS. Now back then, there were only a select few titles which supported these features, if we're being fair. Now they claim that the data attained from February 2023 shows how those numbers have increased with the RTX 40 series owners, showing the highest enable rate for things like ray tracing and DLSS. Honestly, this is just more marketing bullshit. They don't really go into the detail of their sample size, nor do they even disclose how they got this data from the first place. They don't even talk about duration. How do you know that those gamers just didn't turn it on to see how things looked and go, well, yeah, look, it looks amazing, but I want higher FPS, so you're getting turned off? It's all so vague. Circling back to the RTX 4070, another reason why this card looks like such a terrible buy is because of AMD right now. You can pick up an RX 6800 XT for cheaper than what the RTX 4070 goes for. This is an ASRock Phantom model over on Newegg, and it's currently retailing for $540 US, and to me that's basically a no-brainer. I know there will be some in the comments who will mention, but the RTX 4070 has better software features, its DLS is better, ray tracing is better, etc. But honestly, I find as you go lower in price, those features become less irrelevant because in that segment, people are prioritizing better raster performance. When it comes to the RTX 4080, 4090, and 7900 XTX comparison, yeah, I was bringing those features up because those are $1,000 plus GPUs. In that segment, you'll find users who do have the desire to take advantage of those features. Now, if you really wanted to take things further, you can go for an RX 6950 XT, which was AMD's flagship card from the previous generation, and it's retailing for just $630 US. I think that's even cheaper than some of the higher end 4070 models, and this GPU would just completely dominate the 4070. It shouldn't even be a question. So hey, if you guys were interested in buying a new graphics card in that $500 to $600 price range, then I'll drop some affiliate links below in the description for those AMD cards. All in all, the RTX 4070 is an absolutely terrible product. It's completely failed to capture its core audience, the consumers that have looked forward to attaining previous gen flagship performance at less than half the cost, and its specs make its future questionable. I was glad to see that this time around PC Gamer said, forget all that noise, this card isn't worth getting, hence the poor day one sales, and that's going to continue. I don't think Nvidia really even cares at this point though, and I think they're more satisfied with moving a lower volume of high margin parts if anything. Or, if push comes to shove, they'll realize changes have to be needed and we might see a price drop in the future, but only time will tell. For now, things will continue to get worse. If you thought the 4070 was bad, just wait until you see what happens when they launch the RTX 4060 and 4060 Ti. The good thing here is that there are plenty of alternatives out there for you to take advantage of, so you don't even have to worry about this new trash that's coming out. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.